So the first thing I'm going to read is a poem that a friend of mine has written, and it's actually kind of related to something I've been writing. She wrote it actually kind of for me when I was 19, and I've just been trying to write something in response to it since. So this poem is called Liquid. Beneath the muscle, the bone, I reunite with the smoking, seeking virgin. The long crying, the sweat, before the grind got going. You remind me I'm alive, at the under 21 night of dancing, Lost Boys, long black coats, 20 marbles, an earnest lack of self-preservation is tucked inside me good. Feels like heaven, heaven is closer. You awaken me from the drip that is my paycheck. This train is faster than you know. Passed from a 10-year-long verse, bridge, chorus, pause, into a gentle, wailing guitar ballad. Somehow there is this youth of mine still. You remind me I am liquid, beneath the bone, throughout the skin. And here's a little Robin story, I guess, for something I've been throwing around. So. It's the kind of living room with the cream-colored walls where the tenant has to get a floor lamp because there's no ceiling light. And Denise doesn't have a floor lamp nor believes in television, so we're huddled around the white glow of a Wikipedia page on homemade explosives, discussing ways to blow up a car. She's moved up in the world, though, and it's a cottage-style duplex in an aging Chicago suburb. The parks are empty of children and full of poodles. When an ambulance passes by, Denise tells me, I take bets with Nolan on whether it is a heart attack or a stroke. Nolan is behind us, playing video games on what he insists is a smartphone. It's an odd pairing, Denise, a curly black-haired, just overweight 40-year-old meeting events manager for some big events company. Does your company need a hotel in Chicago, Richard? She often asks me. And Nolan, a blonde 17-year-old high school dropout with an angelic face who makes a living off a sugar daddy who pays the kid so that the guy can suck his dick. I'm like some sort of gay teen counselor, Denise jokes. Some sort of outreach program. Nolan doesn't respond. She's been wearing clothes from Urban Outfitters lately, since she works from home. Nolan has definitely done his job as gay best friend. This is her third gay teen that she has attempted to launch into adulthood, including me. I met her at 19, although I wasn't out at the time. Not until a year after I moved west did I tell her I was gay, and even that was 3 now. So I guess I never really told her. Can we trust Nolan with this plan? Or will he screw up? I say, looking over my shoulder at Nolan. I can't imagine him getting his hands dirty forever for someone else. I had the hots for you, Nolan says, for once looking up, ever since I saw you run track when you were in high school. He then repeats what he says to me every time I visit. I was just 7 when you were a junior in high school. He likes to remind me that I'm 10 years older, always telling me how cute I used to be. All right, you two Marys, Denise says, as she pulls a piece of paper off the printer and hands it to me. Let's focus on the task at hand. Tonight we're seeking vengeance on yet another ex-lover of Denise. Normally we would egg the guy's house or maybe throw dog shit at their front door. At least last time I was here, just before Nolan. That's what we did. However, this time is different. This time was her first woman. You think we can just talk? You think we can just walk into a hardware store and hand them a piece of the anarchist cookbook and they'll accommodate us? No questions asked? I ask, still a little perplexed that Denise has called me home 2,000 miles to help her deal with an ex by blowing up her car. The way she cried on the phone reminds me of when she called about John, her third gay teen. When I moved out of her place into San Francisco, her second breakup with Tom was underway, and I was surprised when she mentioned she found another gay kid at a bookstore and brought him in. That was the beginning of her crying years, where I'd be in the middle of the Castro trying to console her while simultaneously checking out the guy next to me. We'll go to Walmart. They don't care what you buy, Nolan says before a noise goes off on his phone and he heads back into the back while saying into the phone, I'm only wearing shorts right now, but he's actually in a sweater and jeans because it is Chicago and it is winter and every part of Denise's house is cold. I've often thought of Denise like a female Batman. Definitely not Batgirl, but Batman with a vagina. These Robins are young twins who help her in her battle against her failed relationships. Nolan would easily be the Tim Drake of the bunch, with the ease in which he plays the role. He's also the youngest and her current Robin. He's got the right moves, though he has it much easier than the first two. That would make me Dick Grayson, the first Robin. Hell, I even have his name, which is what started me on this whole idea in the first place. Denise and I met when I first moved out to Chicago from Iowa when I was 18. We met on the job, both working mailroom at an investment firm, and when I couldn't get an apartment because I had no credit history, she let me stay with her. Like Batman, she took me on all her adventures, somehow getting me into adult places where we'd mostly end up giggling. She always offered me drinks, and I would always decline. Responsible, like Dick Grayson. It was so successful that I stayed there until I finished art school and then moved out to San Francisco to start up an online comic series. That's when Denise stopped taking my calls and emails for a few months. I had to fly back just to see if she was alive. We fought then, the way I'd fought with my parents the last time I spoke to them before leaving for a big city. She wanted me to stay with her. This was during Tom breakup number 3. And I told her I was 25. I told her I was an adult and I needed my space. It was also really childish. And in the end, I smoked pot for the first time and promised to visit her whenever I was needed. I guess that's when I became like Nightwing and started only showing up in special issues. Her third teen, John, was the Jason Todd of the group, nearly ruined her. He was generally a brat who felt that because his dad beat him up every day when he was a kid, he was owed something by everyone else, which, since she fell for him, was mostly Denise, who bared the brunt of his rage and depression. He used to sit on the couch all day eating pizza he had me order, Denise would often tell me over the phone. And when he was done, instead of throwing out the box and the crust that he never ate, he'd hide the box under the couch, Richard, under the couch. She would always repeat the last part as if it was still happening. John died of AIDS, like so many in the 90s, and this is the part where I could try and say that this is like Jason Todd being killed by the Joker, that the disease beat him so mercilessly and transformed his body so horrifically that even though the readership of Batman had actually told DC Comics they wanted Jason killed through some sort of poll, they found themselves disgusted and ashamed of the pure hatred inflicted on Jason, the lack of humanity, as page after page of the book detailed the breaking of every part of him. But I can't really say that Jason Todd's death is like John's, because Jason Todd eventually came back as Red Hood, or something like that. And all that John left behind was a cardboard box under the couch that Denise found weeks later when summer hit and marinara sauce filled the air. Let's not blow up the car, Denise says suddenly, throwing away the printed instructions. I've got too big a headache to loud noises tonight. Then what? I ask, wondering if I've just wasted another $300 on a one-night sleepover. Dildos, she responds calmly. We'll need at least 10 of them.